Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Rudy's Rant, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I am your host, Rudy Rodriguez Shomont, and this is Rudy's Rant, where we talk facts over feelings. I thank you so much for jumping on with me. Appreciate y'all. Sure to hit that like button, subscribe, share the video. Become a member. Membership lives are every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Come join us. And we will be having a live on Sunday night, 8 p.m. with the one, the only Ben Daniel from the Ben Daniel podcast. Y'all have been asking. I got with him tonight, and I said, they're asking for it. You need to get your butt back on here. And he said, let's do it. So we're coming to bring the fire on Sunday night, 8 p.m. So do not miss it. The link will be in the community room. And of course, if you have your notifications, you will know when it's popping. I thank you so much for continuing to support this channel. So God bless all y'all. Tonight, I did a live. We had a good turnout, almost 150 people. As this video will drop Saturday morning. Talking about this WNBA expansion draft. What an absolute freaking unmitigated disaster. Like, that's what it was. That is what it was. You got to wonder what the hell the vision is for this damn league. What does the WNBA think about when they make these decisions that make them look utterly incompetent? You had a 30-minute expansion draft. 30 minutes. That's what ESPN donated to the WNBA on Friday night prior to the Boston Celtics Milwaukee Bucks basketball game. It was at 6:30. It ended at 7 on the dot. They went right into NBA countdown. And yeah, that crap sucked. That was garbage. Basura. Tremendo mierda. Horrible. And that doesn't even talk about the players that were selected. I will say this. There was a surprise one. The Indiana Fever did not protect Temi Fagbenle, and Temi Fagbenle was selected by the Golden State Valkyries. So she's gone. I would think that there must be a plan in place to replace her, hopefully with a better player. But Fagbenle was a good piece to the puzzle for the Indiana Fever. Played good defense, ran the floor well, but she was always hurt, so that probably played a role in it. I gotta say, though, I was a little bit surprised. At the same time, I was not surprised that Nalissa Smith wasn't left available. Maybe she was, but we'll never know because, I don't know, the WNBA hasn't revealed who the fuck was protected and who was not. Does it make any sense whatsoever to have an expansion draft and not tell the fans which players have been protected? This is utterly stupid. It prevented anyone from having the ability to talk about this stuff before they did it. At least on Unrivaled, there was speculation and stuff like that, even though it was not great. In fact, it was terrible as well. But you had no speculation of who's being picked. And then ESPN drops a list of who they expect to be selected. Let me tell you something, man. ESPN's expert should never be an expert in anything because he got them all wrong. He did not get one player correct. In fact, he selected Elena Deladon from the Washington Mystics. It was just bad, man. Like, you don't know who was protected, who wasn't protected, so there was no ability for people to look at this thing beforehand and say, yeah, this would make sense, blah, 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 put a roster together. No. Let's keep it to the vest. No one knows. ESPN's people wouldn't speak on it. In fact, they said, we know who it is, but we can't speak on it. So what's the point? What was the point? You might as well just turn in a piece of paper and say, here you go, and call it a day. Nah, instead, you make this thing a 30-minute joke with 3 commercial breaks. So you had a show that lasted approximately 15 minutes, and 15 minutes of commercials. You had a 1 minute or 2 minute interview with the new head coach. Chiney Ogwumike is live there. You have the introduction of the players, and they introduced 4 at a time. And in the first person who introduced them, I mean, I don't even know anymore. I don't even remember. I don't even remember who the hell was the first person to introduce the players. I remember E40 was second. They brought in E40 to announce players, and then Baron Davis. And they went 4, and then, oh, shoot. They didn't take anybody from Seattle. Seattle must be a mess. But there's some players that I think should have been available. These are the players that have been selected. Ileana Rupert from the Atlanta Dream. She is a center. She is a 6'4" center. She averaged a whopping 1.8 points per game last year. 2 rebounds. So there's number 1. Next one. Maria Conde from the Chicago Sky. Yeah, she's a rookie. Did she even play last year? Because there's no stats for her. Maria Conde, can't find anything on her, literally. She's a 27-year-old rookie guard. She's been playing overseas, so she must be like some draft rights type of situation. She was a 3rd-round pick of the Sky in 2019. Never played for them. Never played for them. So those draft rights they basically took from her for her. Then you got Veronica Burton out of Connecticut. She averaged a whopping 3.1 points per game, 5'9" guard, 1.4 rebounds, 1.9 assists. And then you got Carla Leite out of Dallas. Another one who didn't play for the Wings. Another one who is another international player who has played, who was selected in 24, but she's played overseas. So she's never actually played in the WNBA. Then you got Temi Fagbenle, who I already mentioned. Kate Martin, who averaged 2.6 points per game, 1.6 rebounds. But you can be guaranteed of this. Kate Martin will have the highest selling jersey for that team. And she'll get a chance to play. Unlike the situation in Vegas. Good for her. Then Stephanie Talbot from the Sparks. Another one, averaging a whopping 3.5 points, 2.7 rebounds, 2.1 assists. 30 years old. Then you get, who else? I'm just quick. Cecilia Zandalasini averaged 4.6 points, 1.2 rebounds, 1.1 assists for the Minnesota Lynx. And you have Kayla Thornton. This one was a kind of a surprise to me. 5.5 points, 2.6 rebounds. She's a decent player. Decent backup. Monique Billings out of Phoenix. 7.4 points, 5.8 rebounds. She's 6'4". She's actually pretty decent. And then, of course, finally, Julie Van Loo out of Washington. A 31-year-old rookie who had never played in the WNBA until this year. Yeah, that is what you got. And Julie Van Loo averaged 7.4 points, 4.3 assists, 1.6 rebounds. She played at, what the hell? When the hell did she? Whatever. I don't even. I'm just looking at her career. But yeah, this is, her entire career was in Europe until she got to Washington. All that said, there isn't a person on this roster worth a starting position on any WNBA basketball team. This is the problem with this draft. This team would potentially go 0-44. I mean, realistically, this team could potentially go 0-44. They're that bad. Like WNBA expansion drafts they're always bad, but there's bad and then there's bad. This one's so bad that they could legitimately go 0-44. Now they have some picks, they have some free agent opportunities or whatever, and I guarantee you 4 of these players probably won't be on the team when the season starts, but it's pretty flipping embarrassing what the WNBA has done. Honestly, number one, you don't announce who was protected and who wasn't. So we can't have conversations about that. You have a quick 30-minute nonsense, really with 15 minutes of content, to where the ESPN commentators couldn't even speak on players. They spoke on 2 players, Kate Martin and Temi Fagbenle, I think it was. Or maybe one more. I think Veronica Burton they talked about, if I recall correctly. They really couldn't talk about anybody. They couldn't talk about anybody, really, in depth. No interviews. Why? Like, they knew who they were selecting. Why didn't the WNBA fly these players in? Why not? You're part of history. This is a historic day. At the very least, you know you're taking Kate Martin. Why isn't she flown in, have her jersey already made, put that shit up, and let people see it? They don't do that. This was worse than the Unrivaled thing. This was worse than the 22-minute script, templated video recording of Unrivaled. This was worse, because you're actually supposed to have a little bit of money to create something, but it's become abundantly apparent that anyone who's involved in women's basketball doesn't have a goddamn clue what they're doing. Whether it's the WNBA or Unrivaled, you don't know what you're doing. And it's sad, because these women deserve better. ESPN showed you what they think of the WNBA. They can put Caitlin Clark on every day. But the rest of the people in the league, no one gives a shit about. They don't care about you. So they give you a 30-minute window on a Friday night between 6:30 and 7, rather than giving the WNBA at least an hour, probably more like 90 minutes. Why? So you can build it up, talk about it. Let the names out. Let them speculate. Let them build this thing. Individually select players. Talk about every player as they're selected. Not name. Okay, break. Name. Okay, break. Name. Oh, no name. We don't like anyone from Seattle. Name. End of the show. End of the show. Well, why don't we get more into why a player from Seattle wasn't selected? This is typical WNBA trash. They do it over and over again. It's garbage. Like, they can't not get out of their own way. It's sad and it's bad. It's the fact that I expected more tells me I'm delusional, because I should never expect more from a league that does so little. I mean, for Christ's sakes, you might as well give Golden State the #1 pick in the draft. Seriously. Make Paige Beckers go play in Golden State. Albeit, I've said before, if Lauren Betts turns pro, she's the #1 pick in the draft. You best believe it. If Lauren Betts turns pro, she's the top pick in the draft. I just don't get this. I don't get what they're thinking about, how they put this together. And I get it. There's television rights with ESPN, but they'd have been better off doing this thing on YouTube. Seriously. Do it on YouTube. Do it at your own time, at your leisure. We didn't see the commissioner of the league give a speech before they started talking about players. We didn't see the owner of the Golden State Valkyries come out there and speak. We got some corny bullshit, recorded messages from Steph Curry. I mean, I know they're playing tonight, but they're playing in Golden State. Why not have Steph Curry come in that motherfucker and talk before they... This was at 6:30. 6:30. Eastern time, so it's 3:30 in California. They could have done this. Had Steph Curry say some things about this new team. No, they get a recorded message from Steph. This is embarrassing. I look for the words because I just don't understand how you have so much time to prepare for this and you get a 30-minute trash can. Really what amounts to less than 15 or less than 20 minutes of actual content. They got shooters, huh? They got scrubs. They got a couple shooters. Team is largely a bunch of scrubs. These are bums. This league is expanding too fast. And I know they claim this was before Caitlin Clark. Bullshit. I don't believe you. Why should I believe that bull crap? You have a league right now that is so void of talent, and all you've done is dilute it more. But this is also massive failure within the league because they don't actually prepare players. They don't get players better. They just keep the same old motherfuckers out there and let them play and never develop talent. This isn't, you don't have a G League to develop it. You play these players in games. Don't sit here and tell me that, you got to play Diana Taurasi until she's 45. You blow it. I mean, you blow the opportunity to get players better. You blow it. Now I think Kate Martin can flourish. She's actually a good college player. I'm sure most of them were pretty decent college players or international or wherever the hell they came from. Who cares? But we're sitting here looking at a WNBA expansion draft that was so ungodly boring, so awful, a waste of everyone's time. They could have sent a fax lettered in, a fax machine message to every media center and then just posted up on their websites. That would have gotten as much fanfare as this thing did. Viewership? How many people do you think watched this besides myself? I had a live, and people that were on the live weren't watching it. They were listening to me tell them about it. If there was 100,000 people that watched that shit, I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised. I don't know, man. I think it's really funky and weird that you don't have any of the players there. Kate Martin specifically. I know they did an interview with her, so I presume she knew she was being selected. I'm going to presume that all these players knew they were being selected before this thing popped off. But I just think they made so many mistakes once again. You don't announce the players that are protected. You don't announce the players that are available. You don't even hear from the team ownership and general manager and coach about why they went a specific direction. Why that player? Why this player? Why? No whys. No whys are answered. I mean, if you go into the ESPN now and pull up the story, they say here, heading into the draft, the head coach Natalie Nakase and general manager Ohema Nayan, forget it. The non-negotiable attributes they emphasize were competitiveness, high character, and a never satisfied mindset. Are you shitting me? You got a bunch of bench warmers. You got a bunch of fucking backups. Like these players aren't anywhere near being all that good. The international part wasn't the mindset. It was building the best team that I wanted to build, Nakasi said. I'm just going through the quotes. Oh, they drafted Kayla Thornton because having championship experience is vital. From a backup? You've been in those big moments. You're in those big locker room meetings, those practices that go down to the little details with the playoffs. So yeah, that was a big piece into bringing this team together. We have a goal, and we want to get there with the right players, but also with the right minds. I mean, get out of here. This is silliness. What is the culture that they're trying to build? They're saying they build the culture. What culture? Who are these players? I would bet that half the people that watch this didn't have a clue who half these players were. These picks give them the flexibility to operate within free agency. You think that any of these free agents want to sign there? Why would a free agent want to sign with an expansion team? Like to go have their career end in the abyss? Free agents don't want to go to expansion teams. Are you high off your mind? This league doesn't pay people enough to subject themselves to going fucking 0-44 or 2-42 or 5-39. They don't make enough money to subject themselves to this type of freaking depression and misery. Never. Freaking don't go to expansion teams on purpose. This isn't the NBA. And think about what happened to the NBA when they diluted the talent in the NBA. You stop seeing teams like the Celtics, the Lakers, the Pistons, all these loaded rosters that you had in the 80s. These rosters were loaded. They bring in the Miami Heat, the Charlotte Hornets, the Orlando Magic, the Toronto Raptors, and all these different teams at a time, and you start gutting teams. You start doing that, and what happens? What happens there? You lose talent on these teams. You lose depth on these teams. And there's the talent, it thins. Now it takes time to redevelop more talent because they do it, and eventually you have more talent. But this league has no talent. You have 144 players in the league, well, now 158, and there's no talent. In my opinion, what they should have done, here's another example. You should have only allowed them to protect 3 players, not 6. Why? Because that allows them to get starters. That allows them to pull from starters, not just backups. Who the hell is you're not protecting backups typically. That's why they didn't protect Temi Fagbenle, because let's be real. Temi Fagbenle wasn't a starter all year last year for the Fever. She wasn't a starter. She was a backup. She's an undersized big. She'll be missed, but she'll be replaced. I mean, I've seen people losing their minds over this. She will be replaced, trust me. And Melissa Smith will be used as a trade chip. I said Melissa Smith I said she'd be protected. I have to believe that she was protected. And the reason I have to believe she was protected was because Melissa Smith, whether you like her or not, averaged over 15 points a game her second year with Indiana Fever before Caitlin Clark got there. So Melissa Smith has the ability to put the ball in the hole. She has that ability. So whether you like her or you hate her, think she's awful defensively, which she is, you still need someone to put the ball in the basket, for which this draft produced nothing of that sort on this team. Will they score 60 points a game? Will they score 60 a game? 70? Will they? I have no idea. But this is a joke. I would have allowed them to protect 3 players. And why? Because you would have that gives the options, real options. It gives real options that allows a team to actually build a team worth a damn. Hell, 4 players. At least there's a starter available from everyone's roster, which I think should have been a true consideration. But no, you didn't do that. You take away all 5 starters and the number 1 player off the bench typically. That's what you did. Now, in fact, Bentley may have been Indiana's number 1 player off the bench, but she's always injured. So she really wasn't. And I'm sure that had something to do with the decision to not protect her, because she's always hurt, or she was this past year at the very least. It is a situation in which the WNBA once again failed. They failed. They absolutely failed, and it's the same old shit, just a different day. Who wants these players? Would you want these players? If you're building a roster, are these players that you want? This looks like the Miami Heat roster from 1988, with the exception that you got Ronnie Cycli as your number 1 draft pick. Otherwise, the players in that Miami Heat team that they got were horrendous, which is why they went 15 and 67 and lost, I think, their first 21 games, if I recall correctly. Something like that. They lost a lot to start the season before they beat the Clippers. But this is pathetic. This is another embarrassing display of lack of intelligence, lack of marketing, lack of organizational skills. I mean, lack of everything. Like, you have imbeciles that run this organization. And I don't care if there's an ESPN deal with the WNBA. You need more than 30 minutes for this. You need more than 30 minutes. Blows me away. Blows me away. And now you're going to have, ahead of 2026, there's going to be another expansion draft. Like, think about this, folks. Think about this shit. We're going to 2025. They're adding 2 more teams in 26. So there's another expansion draft next year. And next year, it's 2 teams drafting. You can't protect 6 players again. The number has to go down to 4 or 5. It should be 4 or 3. I don't see this, man. I don't see this. You don't have this league doesn't have the fucking talent. They have not developed talent to make a 14th and 15th, and they want a 16th team by 2028. Last month, Rock Entertainment Group, which is also tied to the NBA's Cleveland Cavaliers, said it would bring a WNBA expansion to Cleveland. Philadelphia, Denver, and South Florida are among other cities said to be exploring expansion bids. I told you a lot. My last name. I'm from South Florida. We had the Miami Soul here for 2 or 3 years. It was an unmitigated disaster. It won't work unless Caitlin Clark plays here 44 times a year. It won't work. I'm telling you, it won't work. And they've already named the Toronto team the Tempo. Lord have mercy. What a fucking stupid name. I was told that's like a Kleenex or something by someone in my live chat up in Canada. I don't know. Someone else joked at saying the temporaries because they won't last. You can't take this shit seriously anymore. It's a joke. It's an utter joke. And they're not going to play where the Raptors play. They're going to play in the Coca-Cola Coliseum in Toronto, where it holds 8,700 for basketball games. I mean, think about that. And team will play some of its home games in other Canadian cities. Folks, this is the WNBA and what they do best, which is suck. They suck. This is an uninspired expansion draft as it gets. And the WNBA blew it as usual. Once again, another opportunity to build your game. You get 30 minutes. You have 3 people announce players fast. There's no commissioner. There's no owner. There's no Steph Curry. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's a 1-minute interview with the coach. There's some commentary from ESPN women. Pathetic. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about these players. Let me know your thoughts about this debacle. This was a debacle. That's the word I've been looking for on it. A debacle. But what's new? WNBA Marketing 101. That's all I got. This is Rudy's Rant. Powered by Come On Out, a podcast where we talk facts over feelings. Come on now.